Welcome everyone. Today is our first look at AI Minutes, a feature that turns your meeting transcript into a draft set of minutes mapped to the agenda you already have in BoardPro. So today we're going to take you through what it does, show you a live demo covering how it works. And we've also got a special guest, Alexa O'Brien, who will talk through some of the broader governance considerations around this. So just some housekeeping before we get started. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a Q&A box. This is where we'd actually like you to put your questions today. And we've got some time at the end where we'll answer these. And you'll also possibly see us answer some of them throughout the session too in text format. But don't worry, if we don't get to it in the session, we will certainly get to it afterwards and send out a summary. And if you do stay to the end, we've got a little 1-minute survey, which has a little prize draw attached as well. So just quickly, for all you first-timers, if you don't know who BoardPro are, we're a board software provider that serves over 38,000 users around the world. And we enable organizations to run more effective board meetings with less effort and significantly better outcomes for their stakeholders. And part of that wider mission is to make the fundamentals of governance free and easy to implement for all organizations, especially those with resource constraints. So as part of that mission, we've got free access to templates, guides, and resources, all of which you'll find on the Resource Center of the BoardPro website. And of course, there are these webinars, not just the product ones like we're doing today, but sort of broader educational ones too, which are a great way to access key governance knowledge without the time commitment and costs typically associated with in-person events. So for the next wee while, just sit back, listen, add to the discussion in the Q&A, and you'll get the full recording along with the slide deck and the transcript afterwards. So again, just to cover what we're covering today, we've got Alexa doing a guest segment. Penny will just touch on our approach to AI. I'll take you through a look at the actual AI Minutes product, and then we'll just have some wrap-up information on how you can get started and where to go next. So we've got David, myself, the product marketing manager, Penny, who's our head of product, and Alexa from the Leadership Academy. So with that, we'll hand over to Alexa.
Thanks, David. So I am Alexa O'Brien. I'm Director of Leadership Academy.ai. I do work with boards and executive teams across Australia to build AI fluency and move from curiosity about AI to confident governance use. I'm currently a board director and also a graduate of the AICD. So I will jump into our topic today. So the week before a board meeting has a rhythm to it. The pack lands, a couple of 100 pages of it, the reading, the note-taking, the search back through past minutes to confirm what was resolved and what is still open. And after the meeting, for the person responsible for the minutes, the write-up, hours of careful work to get the record right. And none of that is really the work that we're here for as directors. The work is really judgment, the questions that we ask, the risks that we weigh, the decisions that we actually need to be standing behind. Yet the research is showing that boards are really only spending about 1/3 of their meeting time on strategy. Nearly 3/4 of us, though, really want that balance to shift back towards that strategy. So that's where BoardPro has really focused its AI on reducing the administrative weight of governance, so more of our time and attention can really go to the work that only directors can do. And they've actually built it around a principle worth holding any board technology to: augmentation, not automation. The AI takes on the preparation, the judgment really stays ours. So we can delegate tasks, but we don't delegate our accountability. So today our focus is on AI Minutes, and minutes really deserve that principle alongside anything else in governance, because minutes aren't simply meeting notes, they're actually part of the evidence of governance. So in March this year, the federal court delivered its liability judgment in ASIC versus Vecchia, the Star Entertainment case. And the court found that Star's former CEO and former chief legal and risk officer had actually breached their duties of care and diligence. Now, ASIC's case against the non-exec directors were actually dismissed. Beyond its findings, the case offers directors across Australia and New Zealand a clear reminder of how governance records may later be read. So when scrutiny turns to what a board saw, questioned, and decided, the contemporaneous record really carries significant weight. So the lesson isn't what we should or that we should record every word. It's that the formal record needs to show the essence of the board's engagement. So what was considered, what was challenged, what was decided, and why. AI minute taking has arrived at this moment exactly, and used well, it's actually a meaningful improvement, particularly for stretched boards and organisations without a company secretary. So the AICD and the Governance Institute have been clear that there's no prohibition on using AI to prepare draft minutes, provided human review and evaluative judgment remain central. So the question isn't whether we use AI for minutes. The better question is, what records are we creating? Who controls them? And how long do they live? Where do they live? So transcript is absolutely a different creature to the minutes. Minutes are the curated account, the decisions, the key issues, the rationale. The transcript is raw capture, the unfinished thought. It's the question a director may have even asked to test a position that they didn't even necessarily hold. So a meeting in one meeting now can produce a conferencing recording, a transcript, an AI summary, draft minutes, personal notes, a director's private note taker output, all before the board has actually reviewed anything. So it may be that there are several versions of one conversation and under different access settings, and maybe even different retention rules if they even exist. And that's not better governance, it's actually record proliferation. And that's where the real risk for us as directors sits, not in the AI itself, but in the ungoverned records around it. So the discipline, it's not complicated, but it does really need to be deliberate. So one designated capture process for the meeting agreed by the board, the personal recording devices and unofficial AI note takers explicitly outside it. The transcript needs to feed the draft minutes and nothing else. It's not a shadow set of minutes. It doesn't sit indefinitely on conferencing platforms because we forgot that they lived there as well. So once minutes are approved and signed, the retention policy really should determine what happens to the raw material, and deletion should also happen at source. It should be routine, policy driven, but not reactive. And consider that when the board actually discusses legal advice or in-camera matters in session, the safest protocol may be to actually pause transcription so privileged discussion never actually enters the records in the first place. This is why the design of the tool that BoardPro have created matters. So what you're about to see works from the transcript that the board brings in under its own capture process and maps it against the agenda, produces some structured draft minutes for human review. The transcript is then used to create the draft, and it's not retained in the platform. And every AI generated minute carries a flag until a human has reviewed it and edited it. That is the record lifecycle really designed in, rather than just a transcript that's been bolted on. The key word, I think, remains draft. AI gets us to draft faster. We've got to review it, we edit, we decide what goes on record. And what boards end up with is a record that it has crafted deliberately and owns. So the best way to understand it is to see it. So David, I'm going to hand back to you to show you exactly how it works.
Great, thanks, Alexa. Bear with me one moment. So before we get into the demo, I'll just have Penny talk us through some of the principles behind our AI capabilities, not just minutes, but the philosophy around BoardPro AI in general.
Awesome, thank you for that. So yeah, as Alexi mentioned, our guiding principle is augmentation, not automation. And that comes from something about governance that doesn't change. You can delegate the task, but you cannot delegate the accountability. And fiduciary duty stays with the board. So AI Minutes does the drafting and you own the record. Secondly, this is a board record, not a meeting summary. Plenty of you will have tried Otter or Fireflies or ChatGPT and with a recording and got back a wall of text that you then have to restructure anyway. AI Minutes maps to the agenda you built. It matches owners to your attendee list and then reads the papers attached to each item. So that's the difference between a summary and a minute. The third there is the human in the loop. So every generated minute is flagged, editable, and removable, and nothing publishes until you approve it. So you edit it and the AI flag comes off, it's yours now. And the fourth is that it's built for governance. So your board content is not used to train, retrain, or fine-tune any model, and transcripts are deleted from our storage once processing is done.
Great, thanks, Penny. So Before we get into the actual demo of the product here, we're just going to touch on what you're going to see. And it's important just to touch on how this actually works in practice too. So you record the meeting the way you already do, as Alexa and Penny have both mentioned, upload the transcript, and then you get back that structured first draft, not a summary of the meeting, but minutes setting against the right items. And you're going to see 3 items coming out of that with our AI minutes capability. So you'll see notes, actions, and decisions. And the headline here is really the promise. You stop writing the minutes and your role moves to reviewing them. So the same job, a different starting position, 90% of a first draft instead of that blank page. Now, bear with me while I just move over to our demo account. Alrighty, so now we're in our demo account, Riverside Community Trust, and we've stepped a little bit into the future, March 2027. We're in our meeting view here. And for those of you who haven't or not familiar with BoardPro, once this meeting's been set up and we've got our agenda all ready to go, we'll move into our take minutes side of the product. And here you can see our agenda loaded. Now, just to touch on what I was talking about before, you can see that I suppose the standard way you'd take a minute. So we might add a note here. Now, forgive me, I'm not a professional note taker. I just have some example ones here. So we'll say, text note. It's obviously the formatting options you would expect. That's been added. We might add a decision. So we'll just follow the guidance here and say approval of 2027 budget. We'll add an outcome, a mover, and a seconder. Just say as noted. You can see our decision has been loaded there too. And we'll also add an action here as well. So schedule a team sync. And let's put that well into the future. We'll go April. And I'll own that one. And then we'll say as noted here too. So again, ignoring the content, just looking at the functionality, we've got our note, our decision, and our action. And something to call out here too with BoardPro's standard minutes functionality is that it's flagged against the agenda item where the minutes have been added. So this will be important in a moment when I show you how the AI capability works. So up the top here, we've got import transcript. This is where you access AI minutes. And if we click this, we get the modal to import our minutes. But before we get into that, we'll just have a look at some of the settings available to you with AI minutes. So in the BoardPro AI section of the settings screen, you've now got this new minutes control center, basically, where you can adjust the style. So by default, BoardPro will infer the style based on your previous 2 sets of minutes loaded into BoardPro. This is kind of the recommended approach, but we've also got some other options, one available right now and one coming very soon. This feature, again, obviously is out and available to you now, but we're still adding capability to it and strengthening it. So the other option is a preset defaults, not based on any sort of style options you've got, just a level of detail. So you can choose from a concise approach here or a detailed approach here. But for the purposes of the demo today, let's just go use previous minutes. And we'll just head back to our meeting, okay? And we'll upload our transcript. You can see here now it's ready to import just from a docx file. We'll just give that a couple minutes to generate. So right now, you can see there, obviously with the text on screen, it's generating our minutes. It's going through the transcript line by line and analyzing our previous sets of minutes in the BoardPro account to ensure a quality first draft that we can take and build from. All right, now, again, this is a demo account, so forgive the content, pay more attention to the structure and some of the things that we've built here for you. So a few things to note. We've now got these AI-generated minutes here with the flag that both Alexa and Penny mentioned, generated by BoardPro AI. So this is really the key, and it appears in a couple of places. So it appears below the generated minute. It also appears on the left here, as you may have heard me mention before when we had a standard minute. You've now got this AI star icon against the minute too to show where those minutes have appeared or where BoardPro has done that generation for you. It's kind of key to the philosophy. We want this to be a first draft view. This is not something you're meant to take and just to prove as record. So when we click on an AI generated minute here, even if we make a very minor correction, so if we just say test just for the purposes of this exercise here, you'll now see that the generated by BoardPro AI flag has been removed. This is something you can use almost as a sense check as you're working through this first draft of minutes, just to make sure that you have, or you can also use it basically as a way to check that you've reviewed the minutes yourself. And as we work through, you'll see that we've also got decisions here as well. So with AI generated minutes, if a speaker is not named in the transcript, our generation will fall back to the agenda item presenter, and then failing that, it'll fall back to the admin. Now, obviously, sometimes with these things, you might not be happy with the output initially. You might want to go back and tweak some of the style settings. You can absolutely do that. You can just delete all the AI minutes. Important to note here too, this preserves the standard minutes you may have added. So if we just delete these, you can now see we've got the other minutes there as well. So that is, bear with me. That is a demo of our AI minutes capability. So again, like how it works, you record the meeting the way you always do. We've got a lot of published guidance on the best way to get a transcript into BoardPro. Then you import that using, say, Zoom or Teams. We read it against the agenda, and then you review and publish. So again, nothing is published until you say so. And again, what makes a good transcript? You use your meeting tool. We've got a few different formats that are submitted, I think 14. Ensure that speaker names are turned on if you're doing an online meeting. If not, you can also call those out where possible. Basically, the more detail in the transcript, the better the output. Again, the richer the detail in your BoardPro account, again, the better the transcript, especially if you're inferring detail from previous minutes. And make sure if you've got multiple transcript files, for example, if you've got board only time and you perhaps have paused a recording in Teams and it's split it, make sure you import all the additional files too. And again, we've got published guidance online that will send out about some tips around getting a better transcript. Okay, so before we get to the Q&A, just a couple of things about pathways to get started. If you're an existing customer on our premium or ultimate plans, you can go into BoardPro now and try AI minutes. Even if you don't have a meeting coming up, you might want to try it on an existing meeting. That works too if you have the transcript and the agenda loaded. If you're new to BoardPro, you can start a 30-day free trial and try minutes too in much the same way. Alrighty, let's just go over to our Q&A. Look at some of the questions that have come through.
We have a couple of questions in the chat, Dave.
Let's have a look.
One from Christine here, which is very important. Where is the data hosted?
Yeah, so on our AI terms, there is a link to our AI policy provider page, and that's where we keep an updated version of where our AI functionality, these models that our AI functionality uses, and where you can see that most updated. So just make sure you look at the policy for any kind of questions like that.
One from Janice. What if the transcript, the actual meeting jumped around a lot and didn't follow the order of the agenda?
Yeah, so that's a common thing, and we know that meetings sometimes don't quite follow the exact agenda that we have. So AI does its best, but it will only it can only do so much. So it will see what the agenda was. It will try and understand if those things are connected to those different sections. But that's why I think that human in the loop reviewing that is really important. So yeah, it'll always do its kind of best effort. And there are some smarts behind the scenes that try and map those things together. Yeah.
Right, Penny. So which plan do I need to be on to access AI minutes?
Yeah, so it is available for all premium and ultimate plans. So you need to have turned on the AI in the settings page. So that gives you AI Assistant, it gives you AI Minutes, and that's where David showed you that kind of control center where you can choose if you want concise, detailed, or your minutes to be generated from your previous two.
I see a question here from one of the Davids. Can you record on a phone and upload an audio file? So, David, you can't upload an audio file. You need to upload basically a transcript document. There are a lot of apps that do allow you the ability to export a transcript, like Coconut and Granola, and even iPhone and I think some Samsung phones have the ability to give you a transcript too. Really, AI Minutes excels when the transcript is as high quality as it can be. So, if you have a phone recording with very sometimes a bad job on the capture, that detail won't be necessarily pulled across to AI Minutes. And Sarah also asked, does the input have to be a transcript? Yes, that has to be a transcript document. And we have guidance on the formats supported too. It's quite an extensive list, so I'd imagine you will find your format there. So Penny, another one. Oh, sorry, Penny, go on.
I'll just jump in with this one. There's a question here from Janice and a few people around what happens if you've already taken some minutes. So those minutes will be retained, and the AI minutes would come as well in there too. So it'll be very clear which one are the AI generated minutes, but your ones will remain there.
And one from Anna here too. Can you ask for increased detail once the first draft of the minutes has been generated? So Anna, I may have whizzed through it, but you can go back and roll back those AI minutes and adjust some of the settings and then import it again. One for you, Penny. Can I trust AI generated minutes to be accurate?
Yeah, so AI Minutes creates a draft based on your meeting transcript. So we'll just use that meeting transcript. But again, the human in the loop, you remain responsible for reviewing and approving those final minutes before they are published. So we've done everything we can behind the scenes to try and make it as accurate as possible. But at the end of the day, it is AI, and we very much will push you to make sure that you review those and make sure that it accurately reflects the discussions that were had.
One here from Janice. I think we may have touched on this one, Janice, about what it does with the notes that you've taken and uploaded prior to doing the AI transcript import. So your notes will still be there combined with the AI generated minutes, and you'll see the BoardPro AI flag under the AI generated ones. You won't see that with your original minutes. Let's have a look through. A lot of questions coming through. Rest assured, we will answer them and send them out post-webinar if we don't get to all of them now. So Penny, I think we've touched on this before, but you might want to give some more detail. Does BoardPro record the meeting?
No, so BoardPro doesn't do the actual recording itself, so you will need to do that elsewhere at this point in time. As David said, we're going to send out some guidance around how best to do that, the best way to get a good transcript, because we all know you got to have kind of a good transcript in to get the best out of it. So we will be sending out some guidance on how best to do that.
I've got a question here from an anonymous attendee on which language models are behind this, ChatGPT or Anthropic. It's built on Azure OpenAI, so the ChatGPT models.
There's a question here on can I upload multiple transcript files? So yes, if your meeting transcript is split across multiple files, you upload them all to the same meeting, and BoardPro will combine them before generating their minutes. I think that's the common thing with Teams meetings, as well as some services. If you do what Alexi was saying, where you pause the if you pause the recording and then restart again, there can be multiple files. So as David kind of showed you adding one, you can actually add a few into that first screen, and we will combine them. And again, it will map against your agenda, so it should read as one meeting.
I think, Penny, there's a few questions around future functionality. I suppose you just want to touch on the approach we have to adding to features as we go.
Yeah, so we always want to make sure that we're solving the right problems with what we do. We didn't want to rush out with AI functionality without it being able to provide value, and we thought this was the first really solid piece of value that it could create. That being said, we want to keep hearing from you if there is improvements that you want to see in the product. We have a feedback button inside the app, and we read every single comment that comes through. With our AI assistant, already some of that feedback we've incorporated and delivered on. So if you start using it and you want to give us feedback, good, bad, constructive, we want to hear it all. And we're always open to what that looks like. So yes, the statement at the moment is no, BoardPro doesn't do its own recordings. Could it happen in the future? Potentially. There's a whole bunch of stuff that sits behind that, but I guess the overall theme is kind of keep telling us, keep feeding us back, and we'll definitely be listening.
Right. I think it's probably one here for you, Alexei. So Irene asked, how safe are the Zoom and Teams transcripts used? I think you're on mute, sorry.
Can you say that again? I just missed a couple of your words there.
Oh, sorry. So Irene's just asked around the safety of Zoom and Teams transcripts, but I suspect it's probably a bit more of a broader discussion around transcripts anyway, which you touched on.
In terms of safety, in terms of like retaining them, I think there's a little bit of a open-ended question there.
Yeah, it might be worth just, yeah, she just said, how safe are they in regards to the platforms being used?
In terms of Zoom and those other platforms, again, like we wouldn't want to be retaining information in those platforms at all. And it's really around the accuracy of the note taking that's happened in those platforms. So those platforms will have security, especially if you're using them inside of a paid subscription. But we do want to make sure that we have a retention policy and we delete those at source after they've been brought into any board transcript as well. So they would have security, and that would be about going into Zoom and whatever platform that you're using, understanding their security profiles, making sure you do have a paid subscription in those, but also making sure that you're not keeping them left in there. You're deleting them once you've used them and downloaded them.
Great, thank you. Let's probably get a couple more questions. And Penny, so
Yeah,
someone asked, why wasn't something discussed during the meeting included?
Sorry, say that again. Why?
Why wasn't something discussed during the meeting included?
Yeah, so AI Minutes only generates content for discussions that are related to existing agenda items. If something was discussed outside that agenda, very clearly, you'll need to add it manually before publishing. So again, just keep an eye and make sure that everything you are expecting to see in there is in there. There's another question from Ronnie. Is there an additional cost to use the AI features? Do we need to purchase tokens, etc.? No, there's no additional cost other than being on the premium or ultimate plan. So it's not gated by any kind of usage. If you're on that plan, you are able to use it.
Thank you. So David asked, can you share a flowchart of the process? Yes, we can probably look at putting something like that together for you. Another David asked, so a lot of Davids here today. Do I always need a third-party app to transcribe the meeting, as BoardPro cannot transcribe this? So that's correct for the moment. Yes, you'll need to bring that transcript into BoardPro.
And another one here is around kind of due dates for actions and how that gets added. So if a due date is discussed for an action, it will use that. If no due date is discussed, then AI Minutes will default a due date. I think we usually just put in a month ahead. So with any kind of minutes that get generated, including actions, owners and due date, just make sure that that is what you want it to be. And again, when you are doing those, when you're having those meetings and getting that transcript, if you can be kind of really clear around who's going to own that, and that which I guess is good practice anyway, that'll help immensely when it comes into the system.
Right, I think let's wrap these up for now. So just a couple of points here which I can see just to clarify again. So for one, we will send out the Q&As and we'll do our best to answer all of the ones that we haven't here. And we'll also send out some guidance on taking or getting a good transcript into BoardPro, and then how to kind of run that process in a way that works for you and your board.
I think, David, one of the key tips is also, maybe guiding the chair in
Yes.
the meeting, how to actually have the chair, especially if that agenda does bounce around a little bit, just having the chair identify, what topic is now being discussed. So it might be, some new training that we need to get our boards across in leveraging these tools effectively.
Absolutely, it's a very good point. All right. Thanks everyone for your patience, bearing with me with the screen sharing switching around today. All right. So just to wrap up, we've got a couple of exciting things to share with you all. So we've got a For October and November, for our Australian and Kiwi viewers today, we've got a event, Governing with Impact, which is essentially exploring what good governance looks like in the new AI world. So you'll expect to see keynotes from some subject matter experts, a TEDx-style Q&A panel, some good conversation, networking drinks, opportunities to connect. We'd love to see you there. So if you see the link on screen there, again, we'll send it out afterwards too. You can go and pick up tickets for that event. And we've also got a new community, which I believe, Sean, we've just started promoting. So if you want to look for past webinars, again, connect with like-minded individuals, pop along to community.boardpro.com and you'll find a trove of resources the team has been pulling together, including the recording and wrap-up from today. So finally, again, thanks for joining us today. You'll very shortly receive an email with a wrap-up transcript presentation slides. And again, just a reminder to complete the survey to go in the draw to win the hamper. We'll announce it shortly after the winner. And if you're considering BoardPro for your organization, we'd love to hear from you, or better yet, just start a 30-day free trial and you can try AI Minutes. You can try the other AI assistant capability we have in there too. Simple, straightforward, no credit card required, so you can go and give it a go today. Thanks again for your attendance. Thanks again to our BoardPro speakers and to Alexei. I hope to see you all at the next webinar. So have a great day.